Hey everybody, One of Wisdom here. It is Friday the 13th. This is round one of our Skylanders battle tournament. Fan vote based on the poll results on the blog, oneofwisdom.blogspot.com. And this is a day late. I was kind of, out of the area. Couldn't really record or do much the last couple of days. But nonetheless, we have got round one wrapped up at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time last night. So round one is in the books. Each battle had roughly 250 votes. Our max turnout was actually the matchup here between number 9 Stealth Elf and number 24 Drobot. It netted 269 votes. That was one of those matchups I thought would be pretty good, close anyway. And I won't go into it just yet, but that one definitely delivered on the expectations. Clearly both of them have a huge following. But that said, basically have it divided. The Warnado bracket is obviously your number 1 seed, and then Sunburn here is a number 4 bracket. You know, ideally, if everything goes according to mathematics, you'd see 1 Warnado versus 4 Sunburn against the winner of the second bracket with Camo versus the third bracket with Whamshell. Again, that's just assuming that everything that has happened so far holds true. Don't think that'll happen. But very well could be the case, and then you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, the easiest path should be for the number 1 seed. The toughest path should be for the number 4 seed Sunburn. If people's opinions have changed, obviously, that'll pan out. But again, the seeding 1 through 32 was based on your votes of who is your favorite Skylander poll I ran a while back. But nonetheless, won't continue on too much. You should kind of have a general idea of the rundown here. I will go ahead and cover the results here. Our first matchup, we had Warnado against Boomer, and we actually have Warnado took 76% of the vote home, so basically 3 and 4 of you voted for Warnado. 197 to 61 was the final score, and that actually means that Warnado will advance here to our second round. Then we've got in our second matchup, 16-seeded Slam Bam versus the 17th-seeded Chop Chop. Chop Chop back in the day was a big fan favorite, at least amongst the people that follow the blog. Slam Bam took roughly 2 out of the 3 votes from everybody, and he came in with 172 versus, I believe, 86 for Chop Chop. So we've got these two advancing on. I will make another video, I guess probably separate, just so if you're not interested in the results or you just wanted it from the blog, you can probably skip this video. Otherwise, I'll have a link in the description of this one to the round 2 matchup video, and we'll be opening the polls. Our next matchup, this is actually our first upset of the day. We've got 4 of them actually in this first round. Spiral, the number 8 seed, took home 46% of the vote with 122. That said, Zap took home 140 votes, or 53%. So Zap has actually come in and upstaged Spiral, if you will. Then our final in the 1 seed bracket, we've got Terrafin against Wrecking Ball. Really, the only thing that got wrecked here was Wrecking Ball. I believe Terrafin had our highest margin of victory. He brought home 86%, or basically 9 in 10 of your votes. With 224, Wrecking Ball brought home 13% and 35 votes. So Terrafin will be advancing to round 2. Then we'll just go ahead and I guess I'll do the 2 seed bracket first. We had 2nd seeded Camo against the 31st seeded Whirlwind. Camo brought home almost 50% of the votes, 210 to Whirlwind's 46. So Camo will be advancing. And then this is another upset. This one's really not that big of a deal. It's 15-seeded Prism Break against 18-seeded SonicBoom. Prism Break took home 42% with 109 votes, and SonicBoom brought home 57% with 148 votes. So SonicBoom just seated a little bit behind, advances past Prism Break. Then in an Undead Showdown in round 1, we had number 7 Cinder versus 26 Hex. Cinder brought in basically 4 and 5 votes, 80%. She had 204, where Hex had 51 or the basically 20%. Our next upset, our third one of the round, was actually Flameslinger and Ghost Roaster. Flameslinger came in seeded number 11. He took home 46% of the vote, and Ghost Roaster, however, took home 53%. The margin of victory here was 18 votes. So number 22, Ghost Roaster, edged Flameslinger by 18. So he will advance on to our second round. Then coming down right here to Whamshell, the number 3 seed bracket, we had Whamshell versus Dino Ring. Whamshell took home 68%, basically 7 in 10 of you. He had 174 votes, while Dino Ring had 79. That means Whamshell will advance. Bash and Zook. I actually thought this was a pretty interesting matchup. But Bash took home 59%, almost 3 in 5 votes. He had 152. Zook, 40%, basically 102. So Bash, margin of victory, basically 50 votes. Lightning Rod, our 6th seed against number 27, Gilgrunt. Lightning Rod cleaned house in this one, basically 4 and 5 of you picked him. 204 votes for Lightning Rod, 54 for Gilgrunt. So that was a pretty easy time for Lightning Rod. Our final matchup in the 3 seed bracket saw Trigger Happy, our number 10 seed, take down 23rd seeded Drill Sergeant. It was basically 2 and 3 of you preferred Trigger Happy, thought he'd win here. 172 votes to 85 votes. Our final bracket would be the number 4 seed with Sunburn. His round 1 matchup was against number 29, Eruptor. He had 71%, again, basically 3 and 5 of you, 3 and 4 of you. 183 to 73. So we've got Sunburn advancing on. Then Double Trouble and Voodooed, a magic element showdown, if you will. We have Double Trouble advancing. He had basically 70% of the vote, 182 to Voodooed, our 20 seeds number, or 73 votes. So Double Trouble advances. Then this was a interesting matchup, not necessarily because I thought it would be close, just Igniter sometimes will say slash and burn, and that's what you do to a forced. And needless to say, Igniter brought home 82%. Again, that's basically 4 and 5 votes. Total of 210, and 28 seeded Stump Smash brought home 17% with 46 votes. So we actually see Igniter advance. Interestingly enough, the way this panned out, me going 1, 2, 3, 4, our final matchup in this 4th seeded bracket pits number 9 Stealth Elf against number 24 Drobot. Stealth Elf won this with 50% of the votes. That should tell you right away it's really close. Drobot had 49% of the vote. Final totals: Stealth Elf 136 votes and Drobot 133 votes. Again, this was the most popular battle, not by a huge margin, but 269 total votes, and Stealth Elf won by 3. So that said, this matchup right here really showcases to you how important it is to vote. I don't know if there were a ton of Stealth Elf fans or Drobot fans. Spread the word. Had a few more, again, nothing crazy. Like I said, all of them had over 250, but this was the pinnacle vote total for this round 1 of matchups. And Stealth Elf edged him out by 3 votes. So again, keep this in mind in round 2. Assuming your favorite character, or one of your favorites advanced, this is why voting is important. A lot of the times Terrafin and Wrecking Ball doesn't really matter, but, say that you voted for some others and not this one. Drobot just needed 4 votes to win. So Stealth Elf edged him out. I was pretty sure that would be a close matchup. It definitely delivered. So with that said, we have got our round 1 in the books. Round 2 is set up here. I'll actually pull the discard pile, if you will, and I don't know, make them the audience or something here, make it interesting. But I will cover the round 2 matchups. Again, that link will be right below the blog link in the video description. Again, please vote. I wasn't really sure how this would go over. I'd say 250 votes over 2 weeks. I'd say it went over pretty well, so I'll definitely keep doing it. Feel free to continue to throw out ideas, YouTube or the blog, what you'd like to see in future matchups or future scenarios, etc. We'll play this one out again. It is based entirely on the fan votes for who is your favorite Skylander poll, which I ran earlier. I should have that archived on the blog somewhere. But like I said, this went over very well. I didn't know if it would just bomb or people would think it was neat, and clearly at least some of you think it do. And 250 people, basically 125 a week, I figure that's good enough to keep going. So we'll keep doing it. Like I said, feel free to throw out some ideas. If you'd like to see dragons or whatever you come up with later on down the road, I'll try to make happen. But I will quit yakking. This wraps up round one. I have all of the results typed out in the blog post. It's linked at the top of the description. So check that out if you prefer text-based formats. As you can see, we've got my fancy little bracketology here. And I will say, Air Skylanders fared the best with 3 of the 4 advancing. Water also had 3 of 4. Tech and Magic did the worst with only 1 of their 4 advancing. Again, some of this is solely based on the matchup, and then in some cases like Cinder versus Hex or Sunburn and Eruptor, you're already taking the chances down by 1. So keep that in mind. But Life, Fire, Earth, Undead, they all had 2 of the 4 advance. So we've got a pretty good mix here. Again, I will cover the round 2 matchups in detail coming up in the next video. Again, thanks for voting. Hope you enjoy it. You can follow along on the blog, oneofwisdom.blogspot.com. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, whichever you prefer. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you back for round 2.